Okay, we're back. Thank you. We're back from short recess. Thank you. As our AV folks had to reset, and that happened, actually, it happens at the 6 o'clock hour, so we take a quick recess. So go ahead, General Manager.
Just real for the record, Senator, Mr. Frank Santos had to depart, or else he might be in the hot water for his...
I understand that. Yeah, I understand that it was a life and death situation.
Okay, if we can get to the next slide, please. Thank you. Under the tenant and concessionaire updates, Senator, I would like our Deputy Executive Manager to give this report.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Executive Manager. Again, Mr. Chair and Senator Gumatao, just giving an update on our tenants and our concessionaires, long-term lease opportunities. So I just wanted to give just a very brief overview of what the current airport inventory is to just give you an idea of what types of opportunities we're looking at. Total concession space that we have at the airport is 80,000 square feet. That's specific to retail merchandise, to food and beverage, car rentals, foreign exchange, et cetera. And so that's within the terminal building. Land area that's available for development, we have over 200 acres, a lot of which, is part of the David Tuncap Aviation Business Park that, of course, we dedicated several months ago. And then in addition to that, we do have rentable space in the terminal. This is for, of course, other types of, that's already rented out as well. As we have about 500,000 square feet in the terminal building. For land area development, we're really looking at, and we have been in discussions, or at least have received interest from a number of airline or aeronautical operators, both local and international. But land area available, you know, we're always looking for hangar development, which we've seen in the past, and we're still trying to pursue those. Fixed base operations, or FBOs, cargo warehousing, in-flight catering, fueling, distribution centers, flight training, and other general aviation-related businesses. And of course, the thing underlying all of this, and which we talked about earlier, was ensuring that any airport leasing or development is aligned with our airport layout plan, which is a part of, which is not only approved by the FAA, but also a part of our master plan. And so with that, aeronautical interests that we've received, of course, have been from a number of local companies that may want to build hangars, cargo operations, or expand their ground service operations, as well as some international ones that want to do some fixed base operation for, you know, private jets and interplane fueling and things like that. For non-aeronautical inquiries, of course, there's been several for some of the spaces that we have at the airport, including, of course, the former Napa building. We've received a lot of inquiries before some of the changes in law that occurred, and then, of course, after, we're trying to see how we can engage. When there's a lot of interest, we have to put it out to ensure that we get the best qualified company to come in. As it relates to extended and expiring concession contracts, of course, we do have our specialty retail. We have one specialty retail operator. Just to clarify, I know that there have been some reports that our current specialty retail operator, Lotte Duty Free, was going to be, you know, ending their operations at the airport. But just to let you know, of course, to clarify that, that their contract does currently expire on July 2026. And so, of course, as any company does, they will demobilize. Their plan to demobilize, especially an operation that large with over 100 employees working at the airport. And so that expires July 2026. So under the normal operations, that's kind of what the plan is until such time other things become available. Food and beverage operators, we have 11 of them. They all expire on August 31st, 2026. We do have 3 vacant positions in the airport terminal building, a couple on one side, on the east side, the longer side of the terminal, and then I think we have one on the west side where Gate 4 area is. We do have 4 rental car concessions with 2 vacant positions there, vacant areas there. Those expire on August 31st, 2026. And then, of course, we have one parking concessionaire. That one expires on October 31, 2026. These were all extended as part of public law that, of course, with your assistance, Senator, we were able to extend. And within those extensions provided for capital improvement to some of them. So you've seen some of our food and beverage concessionaires have been really putting a lot of effort into not only cleaning up and actually reconstructing some of the spaces, but they also have been able to offer some different cuisine. And then, of course, specialty retail. You've seen the Gucci investment in there by Lotte as part of that extension, and so we appreciate the authority that was provided by the legislature on that. Concessions is an extremely important part, as well as leasing is an extremely important part of our revenues. Of course, being anywhere between 20 to 35% of revenues, just depending on the year. It's been, of course, difficult during COVID. But of course, before COVID, concessions and leasing of space has been a huge part of our non-aeronautical revenues. And so as we start to approach the next steps in getting some of these concessions solicitations out, we look forward to trying to meet the deadlines that these expiring contracts have, and looking forward to working with your office to move that forward as well in the process that we are going to undergo in the next few months. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc. Okay, let me go back to Public Law 3821, the enactment of 3821, which is actually that is public law right now. Of course, Senator Therese, and I like myself, and I'm sure the committee as well would like these questions answered. I know upon its passage, or that lapse into law, the governor had sent a message or a letter to you guys that not to act on moving something forward and awaiting an executive order to happen. And likewise, our committee has been working on strengthening, and providing more transparency in the rules and regulations that you may be coming up with. I know that your team is working on policies and procedures, rules and regulations. Where are we at on that? And my suggestion at this point is that because our committee is working as well to augment Public Law 3821, again, to provide not just the committee, the legislature, and the governor, and yourselves as well, additional protection and transparency to that. So in working that policy, so my suggestion is that your rules and regulations, so your policies, be not put in place until the EO has been issued. Likewise, that maybe the law that we craft is at least in the form of a bill already, and so again, we're in concert. So we're going to have to go back to revisit it again after the implementation of the law and get everybody on the same page for this. So where do we stand on rules and on your rules and regs at this point?
Yeah, thanks, Senator, for the question, and we're definitely on the same page. Of course, right now, we're still working on the draft policies and procedures, and we're unable to finalize them, of course, until the executive order is completed. And that process, of course, is currently in, I would call it an iterative process, kind of a back and forth process with the governor's office, allowing the airport to provide ongoing input into that process. But the recent feedback, of course, that we've been receiving through that iterative process has really helped to clarify a lot of the intended policies that we're looking at putting together, and also has allowed us to examine some of how we're going to align with some of what the procurement law has in there, and identify the necessary amendments we need to make moving forward in the bill that, of course, we're all working on. And of course, in terms of the executive order, we'll defer to the governor's office regarding the EO's issuance date, but we definitely appreciate the collaboration, because we all know that the goal here, and we provided the expiration dates, is the goal is to move things forward in the most competitive way possible and ensuring that there's industry standard use of solicitation methods. And so that's the goal. That's kind of the update. But I know that we're all working toward the same goal, and I appreciate we all appreciate your support in that.
No, and again, as I pointed out, I wanted again that the GIAA will be the example of getting things done right. And so if there are gaps or perceived gaps at this point, I don't think there are gaps, but again, to put in additional safety measures that everybody again can be comfortable with at this point, that's what we're going to do. So that's my suggestion, and we got to move fast on it because you've got expiration. I mean, you got concessionaires that are coming up for renewal, so we've got to work on it pretty fast. That being said. And just open up to one there. Historically, of course, GIA has been involved in legal disputes regarding concessions. Okay, and let me ask this because are you and anyone in GIA in communications with any prospective bidders for retail concessions?
Not to our knowledge.
I'm sorry.
Not to our knowledge.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and Senator, I think it's also important to note that, of course, since we're in the first stage of,
sure,
of course, the policies, we don't have any outstanding RFPs out. So that I think that's an important aspect of ensuring that even in regular procurement spending, of course, with that with respect to that, when there is an outstanding bid or RFP out, of course, we at the airport we stick to a single point of contact, and so we go through that process internally just to ensure that there's a single flow of information and we don't miss anyone. But of course, yeah, we don't have any RFPs out pending for concessions because we're still in the beginning stages of the process.
And I want to clarify this as well. And again, I'm glad that I chair the same committees, the airport and tourism, okay? Because I want to make sure that it's done right and that we don't get into any more legal battles, okay, with that. And again, in the meeting that we coordinate with you guys and the Guam Visitors Bureau and the governor's office, that we make sure, because part of the agreement of that lawsuit we just settled, that the airport was not going to seek out again a renewal, okay? And so if we violate that, right, a lawsuit may happen. But not only, the airport, if somebody else speaks outside of the airport and does the invite and then comes up to you and all that. So, and that's why we got to speak with one voice, whether it's airline incentives, okay, whether it's airline incentives or concessionaires, okay? It's got to be real transparent because I don't want us to go through, again, a suit. And so that's why, again, I suggest that you await the EO and await the proposed bill, and that way it strengthens and protects, again, the airport from any perceived notion that that got the airport authority in a legal bind that lasted over 10 years. Okay. You had mentioned there were increase because even my office we were receiving increase regarding the 50-year leases and all that, and I told them send me the email and I'll forward it to you guys in regards to that. And there was a company out of Japan, I think it is, that wanted to fund a airport hangar, And I said, well, I'm not the person to talk to, but I can funnel that information to the airport. So once they send me their email, I'll forward that to you. And yeah, but again, I'm getting increase. What kind of increase are you guys getting at this point? Yeah,
similarly, a lot of the inquiries, of course, have been coming from local, right? Sometimes, since we've been out of the game for a while, Guam's not really a target, so we have to kind of go out and see what's available, right? Especially aeronautical services, we're looking to make use of that 200 acres. And so, we have to let people know we're here and try to, get that business to come over because all that non-aeronautical revenue is going to help sustain the airport, especially through some of the downturns that might occur in the future. And so, that's kind of the challenge that we're facing and that the opportunities that we're looking to take advantage of and seize. But as we start, we got a lot of local requests because of the local operations here on Guam by some of our aeronautical users. And so we look to that, and of course we want to make sure that we provide opportunities for all aeronautical users. And so as an example, we've been able to lease out a hangar space and provide for opportunities for aeronautical users in that hangar space. But we have so much on the south ramp that's available. We've gotten inquiries on our ARF, our old ARF station, which is currently being used by the Airport Authority to save some space because we were leasing out space previously. But looking at that, is that a commercial opportunity? We have to look at and see what the request is, what they're looking at doing, what their financial background is, to see if it's something that makes sense as part of the airport layout plan, and if they can financially ensure that they can operate at the airport.
Now, let me ask this. I mean, in your dealings before in regards to that, are your longer term SRs over there, are they required to put forward a bond?
I think as it relates to how we get lessors,
Yeah.
so when I think of a bond, I'm thinking of kind of some kind of surety or
Sure.
or insurance, right? Well, when we in any lease that we have, there's insurance requirements that they.
I mean,
that it
because
covers the
I'm
facility.
sure, a 50-year lease, I mean, and if someone's going to put in 50, 60, 70 million, $100 million into that, I want to be assured, that you can deliver on that, and I want some money in the bank, to make sure that you have the capability of doing what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the financials is a
yeah.
key, right? And if there's competition for space that is only available for certain operators, of course, we look at the financials to ensure that some companies could say they're going to put in X number of dollars into the space, but we want to make sure that that is actually even realistic. So. But of course, insurance requirements, seeing if their financial capabilities match what they're proposing is key.
And this question from Senator Therese. She said she found the master plan, but not a recent land use plan online.
Yeah, the airport layout plan is a part of the master plan, and so that is part of the document. But the airport layout plan is a massive, multi-page document. So we'll check online to see if that's included, because it is part of the master plan. But that really drives what we plan to do and what we can do, and what is funded through what Frank had mentioned is the airport improvement program and all the federal programs that the FAA provides funding for. So that airport layout plan is really key. And so we'll take a look at that. If the master plan, the airport layout plan is not attached, maybe because it's too large, we'll certainly ensure that we put a link to it that gets it up there. But we'll double check on that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Senator Mutata.
Yeah, I don't have very many questions for you all. I think that just a couple of things, if I could, but when the governor transmitted her letter, just to be very frank, I do disagree with her when it comes to the implementation of Public Law 38-31. This notion of this expansive power of you, Brian and Doyan and your board. I think that with everything happening in the world today, we've got to lean a little bit further. I mean, it's one thing to say, okay, I'm a little bit afraid of the expansive power, but I don't think anyone's going to be really mad when you guys start pulling leases after lease and pulling all these agreements together. You're going to do your diligence. I mean, I know she said, okay, I'll have an executive order next week. It's been 5 weeks. I think you're doing your diligence, because I think we've talked before offline, and I applaud you all, JQ and your team and the board, for trying to move forward and let's say, okay, fine, we got this, but we need to move forward. I just wanted to if I can ask you, I don't know if the exercise has been done, because I think you guys are just trying to get your head wrapped around the law, but when you think of potential revenues I mean, are you guys, is there any exercise ongoing that what could be maybe based on the footprint, right? If you think about your 500,000 square meter or square feet and all this stuff, is there any number you think?
Well, I think in previous appearances before the committees, we've identified that we hope to attract large-scale investment via warehouses, hangars, maintenance facilities, and those could run anywhere from $100 to $300 million, right? And in addition to just the infrastructure, it's also what the economic development that's associated with that. And I think some of the projects that we've been embarking on, such as cargo infrastructure, which is really to remove the cargo activities which are currently up at the passenger terminal, which is not really a normal commingled space, just for the different assets and the different types of operations that go on. But hardening the airport infrastructure to accommodate cargo facilities is a conduit for logistics. And Senator Chairman, we've spoken a bit about it, and I believe that other senators are also considering legislation and framework around logistics and manufacturing distribution, and the airport is the ideal location for doing something like that, utilizing Head Note 3A and other methods where we could attract investors to come in and create jobs really on Guam, right? And so things like that are what we're looking to do, and you need infrastructure, and that's why we're going this route. We're very hopeful and encouraged with the passage of the bill, now law, that enables that. And so, do we have ideas? Absolutely, it's part of the master planning. But we need to take steps to get there. And unfortunately, the airport, with respect to revenue-generating assets, it's a unique situation because procurement law is really meant for expenditures, right? And when you talk about concessions, you're receiving revenue. And so what we're trying to do is create fit-for-purpose guidelines that allow for that.
Yeah, and I mean, you said that number. I mean, 300 million is a lot of money. And I think I'm hoping that, well, I mean, it's already 6 o'clock. I think if they're listening, but I think that you guys are able to carry that message. That's a big deal. When a co-equal branch of government is standing to help support you, I'm hoping that that's not forgotten, that we can be just as powerful and just as useful and to help you all. And yes, I'm excited. I mean, there should be more excitement for it, and people should be really, wanting to work with you all to make that work. And it's not even, you only mentioned one part of it. We have no idea what that potential could be. It's going to be big. So I hope that you'll, as one member of the committee, but also as someone that wants to help, I think you got one partner in me. And I appreciate you. No, I appreciate what we're hearing, and I think that's why we're here. And I'm hoping the community will hear this and get behind this effort. It's scary at times, right, Brian? And I think the board can attest. It's a little bit scary, but if it goes south, well, we just get another board and we can do the same thing over, and we have the power up here to be able to choose people that can maybe steer us in the right direction. But again, as I started, like 4 hours ago, there really is some really talented, very smart individuals that have been assembled at this time. I hope you don't not take advantage of that, and let's do something special at the airport. And especially, I know we got one more slide, but that's going to help us get there. So thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I had.
Thank you, Senator. Let me ask a couple more questions, actually, in regards to this. And some of the questions, some of the answers I know already, but we need to get out the public in some of our recent visits to different international airports. But COVID has changed the dynamics of airports, right? It's a new world now, pretty much, and life in airports. And quite a few in Asia, most all of them have already recovered. It's like it never happened, right? Unfortunately, we're at a situation where we're still recovering, not just from COVID, but also from Mawar, right? But that being said, what are other airports doing, like in Asia and Hong Kong, Hawaii, Australia? in regards to the recovery and their concessionaires that were really affected by the non-travel at the time, and you know they all have basically leases, and you know that's in visiting these areas, in these airports, basically, you know, that's how we came up with the 50 years, because the minimum some of these airports have, minimum is 50-year leases. They've been 50 plus, basically, right? And so that's how, you know, we wanted to be, you know, again, in concert with our competition to be able to entice, you know, them to look at our airport, to do business with us. And so in regards to their operations and their lease agreements, what have they done after COVID to entice them to stay on or to continue to flourish? You have an idea?
I think, Senator, if I would, that's a great question. The industry has changed significantly since COVID, and there is a lot of competition, right? And so what we've done is we've gone around and actually considering the bill that was then passed, those weren't just numbers out of the sky. And you know, you're seeing with respect to concession arrangements, terms have gotten longer, right? And so we historically were on 10-year terms. We now can go up to 15-year terms. That's an actual, you know, it's closer to industry standard now. You've seen most of these concession arrangements move away in the construct from minimum guarantees to different percentage revenues and the timing of capital improvements, you know, either on the front end, in the middle, or in the back end. Those are, you know, commercial terms that we would have to negotiate, but based on industry standard or based on the competition that we're facing. And with respect to leases, you know, the length of the term is really around the amortization of the assets or what that investment level is going to be. Because if you're going to spend $300 million but get a 10-year lease, I don't think any bank is going to, you know, be able to finance that. And so those are just things that we considered, but they weren't pulled out of the sky. Those are just, you know, those are industry standards.
Now let me ask you, because again, we had spoken about this, right? Can you clarify what that means in regards, because one of your bigger concessionaires have already, I guess were given by their headquarters to prepare for an exit plan. What exactly does that mean in regards to exit plan? Because most people, I mean, even ourselves, we're saying, oh man, we don't want to lose, I mean, you know, we don't want to lose this, right? I mean, we already have a situation where we're down in Tumon duty free. We had met with their higher ups a few months back, and they're given 12 to 18 months. You know, I mean, we're hearing about Rolex and all that pulling out and all that. So we certainly don't want that to continue to happen. So. Enlighten us on what that means. I mean, an exit plan, are they leaving? Does that mean they're leaving?
Maybe I could just speak a little bit and Ricky can chime in, but from a commercial perspective, I think an exit plan when your term is ending, right, which is a prescribed term, the contract is definitely ending in a year. And so an exit plan for a commercial entity is prudent. You know, you start to demobilize in preparation, because whether or not you're going to be there or what those next steps are, if you're interested in remaining, I think that's still something to be considered. But an exit plan, in my opinion, is something that is prudent by a commercial entity.
Because you know, I'm you know, our office is getting calls by their employees as well. You know, nervous about their situation. And I can't answer that for them, right? That's up to their company, whether, you know, but I'm just saying, you know, what does that mean? Is it for sure they're leaving, you know, because you say you exit plan together, you know, wow, we're out of here. And so their employees are not sleeping well at night, knowing that that is moving forward, or that an exit plan has been put in place. Anyway.
Yeah, I'll just add to that. It's definitely a challenging time, not only on Guam specifically, but also kind of in that space, the luxury sector. You know, we read news all the time about how it's been a challenging time for that sector of, the market generally, even internationally. And so, Guam Airport's in a really unique position. I mean, we are a U.S. airport out here, but we have to cater to both, of course, U.S. passengers and Asian passengers. And so, as it relates to those U.S. requirements, I think it requires us to kind of think outside of the box, to kind of consider, okay, how do we make this uniqueness in our passenger mix also match what we really need and to maximize revenues on the concession side. But the expiration of many of these concessions, are of course the big concern, and whether because they're doing a demobilization exit plan, there's a lot of things to consider. Of course, personnel is a huge one. Human resources is exceptionally important for any company, any organization. You have product, how are we ordering between now and then? But there's also the consideration potentially of, if there is some solicitation that comes out, will there be, from the airport perspective, will there be interest? And so that's really what we're looking at, and we're hoping, that there's going to be interest, because we definitely need to protect and ensure that there is that service at the airport, that revenue source from the airport. How that revenue source is, the industry is going to dictate that. To see, there's no more minimum annual guarantees. There might be different percentage of sales for different products. There's different strategies that airports have used around the country, and then also in Asia. And so as we continue to research that, and as we build that solicitation when the time comes, of course that will be made public once that's issued. So it's a challenging time, especially for us with the issues with employments. If we had more, then we'd have a little bit more negotiating power. But as we see these numbers increase, and the timing of when we are able to put out something competitively, we're hoping that it's going to be a sweet spot. So
You said between 20 and 30% airport revenue comes from your concessionaires, right?
concessions and leases. And leases of like buildings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let me ask this. Because we're in challenging times and stuff, and come the renewal times, right, or RFP goes out or whatever like that, because we're in challenged times, we're probably, the bids that may come in and stuff like that, we may not get top dollar like we used to, okay? What do you foresee the decline in your revenue being when you guys go out on that? Because again, we're not the other our competing destinations that have recovered. We are recovering, but have not recovered. Okay, so what do you see the decline, and what percentage do you think the decline is in maybe renegotiations with your concessionaires? And you factor that into your revenue, your 20-30% or so.
Yeah, I think we've seen a continued decline, obviously, over the last few years because of COVID. But if I took out my crystal ball, I think the flexibility you've provided in 15 years is a huge negotiating tool for us to be able to entice, interest. And having that flexibility of longer terms will allow us to go into a process that, gives us at least something to provide to offset maybe the investment that needs to be made, the level of revenue that we might be looking at generating up front or in the middle or spread out throughout the term. But we continue to just focus on what is the industry doing, so that we are putting something out that can, obviously meet the expectations of the industry, but also at the same time balance the needs at the airport from a revenue perspective. And so, I think more leasing, and then of course we have spaces at the airport for additional concessions. So if we can maximize all of that space and get more dollar per square foot, generate revenue, then, I think we should be getting a lot better results, right? So
yeah. So basically, what you're saying is that passage of Bill 3821, based on Bill 3821, and extension or up to 15 years, your concessions and also the ground lease at up to 50 years, will offset in a positive way, of course, the projected revenue loss based on our challenging times, basically?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because of the mix of what we're trying to do. And so, we talked about long-term leases. We're talking about land leases. Land leases, of course, you get less per, it's different than a commercial lease with a building already constructed. But I'll just say this, that, the activity that generates, the job creation, if there was a FBO or a hangar or a maintenance repair overhaul facility built, you're going to see a lot of activity at the airport. Planes landing for an MRO to get repaired, potentially bringing passengers in. And so there's this economic activity that's going to happen at the airport. We may not be able to capture everything because we have a land lease, but all that activity generates, of course, money for the island. Hopefully brings in more people to travel. We get some direct and indirect revenues from that. So, the law unlocks a lot of that opportunity, and so we'll just, continue on that path, on that process, and working with you.
Okay, so one last question. Public Law 3821. Is it a vital tool for the airport and Guam's economic recovery?
It absolutely is.
Definitely is, Senator.
Ricky?
Oh, yeah. I agree with my bosses.
Our CFO?
Well, as I know that the deputy and the manager and the entire team know, I'm constantly working to try to make sure our finances are in order. We've been cutting expenses, and the division heads will tell you. The manager, when he hears me begin to speak, he probably starts to cringe, literally. So, any tool that we can have that's going to assist us is going to be absolutely useful for us, and, those are things that we really need to look at and support. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, and that's why we did what we did, to be able to do that, and we're awaiting, and thank you to my colleagues as well, because, there's quite a few legislation that are out there, but not very many in regards to be able to stimulate the economy. And again, the place that has been built out, is there, ready to go. And so now, let's bring them in. That being said, again, Dunkel Zeus Masi to everyone who joined us today, our colleagues and the dedicated team of the Guam International Airport Authority, and the members of the public who tuned in or attended in person as well. Today's oversight hearing served as a critical opportunity to assess where we are, where we're going, and what gaps we must urgently address to ensure that Guam's airport system is not just functional, but forward-facing and world-class. We've heard important updates on infrastructure, airline expansion, tourism projections, and federal compliance. We also listened to concerns from concessionaires and tenants, and we appreciate the transparency and engagement from all participants. This dialogue helps ensure that our airport continues to serve as a gateway of opportunity, not to bottleneck its growth. As chairman, I remain committed to making sure that GIAA operates with transparency, fiscal responsibility, and in alignment with our economic and tourism goals. This committee will continue to provide oversight and follow up on matters raised here today. Let this be the beginning, not the end, of a sustained conversation and collective action to improve the experience for travelers, support our tourism sector, and protect our public trust. Thank you again for your presence, your insights, and your service. The committee will continue to accept testimony, if you want your additional written testimony, within 7 days from today, which may be addressed to myself, Senator Jesse Lujan, as chairman of the committee on transportation, tourism, customs, utilities, and federal and foreign affairs, or mailed to 259 Martyr Street, Hagatnya, Guam 96910. You may also send your testimonies to senator.lujan@guamlegislature.gov. This afternoon's oversight hearing on the Guam International Airport Authority is now adjourned. It is now 6:36 p.m. Thank you very much. Have a great evening. And again, to Frank Santos, congratulations and happy anniversary.
All right. Thank you,
I hope
Senator.
you're still breathing.
Thank you, Senator.